It's fast approaching the bottom of the hour, and I'm glad you're still here with us on Morning at NTV. Very commendable developments there in the public transport system, as brought to us by our colleague in Entebbe, Ivan K. Walunyolo. Of course, we shall continue to follow that and see whether it can complement ongoing efforts by the government across board to ensure that infrastructure development is attained. How and exactly when everything has been put in place. But allow me to transition into our Take Note, a discussion on the Rotaract Africa Summit that is upcoming in Uganda. We shall have a little bit of detail on that, what it means for the country and the Rotarians and Rotaractors. But a preamble, the Rotaract Africa Summit is an annual event of the Rotaract Africa Multi-District Information Organization, MDIO, which is recognized by Rotary International, and this year's summit will be held in Uganda next month. The summit is the continent's premier event for Rotaractors to celebrate the achievements of the preceding year, re-strategize towards new global challenges and interventions, and now the time has come for the Rotary family here in Uganda and the African skies to create what is being described as a symphony of service as they unleash Africa's potential to craft a legacy of impact. And speaking to us on this is Allan Ntambi, the president of Rotaract Africa Multi-District Information Organization. Mr. Ntambi, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
There is a lot of anticipation in the Rotary world and for Rotaractors and Rotarians to what appears to be an iconic event. But I'll be coming to that very shortly. First, take us through what the Rotaract Africa organization is, to which you are the president. I should have said Your Excellency, but
Good morning, viewers. Rotaract Africa is Rotaract Africa MDIO, or Multi-District Information Organization. It's an organization that brings together all the districts in Africa.
That's right.
Right now we have over 20 districts in Africa, in the 54 countries. So at Rotaract level we have what we call the Rotaract Africa President. And then at the Rotary level we have what we call the Zone Institute. Now, so Rotaract, we have the Zone Institute for Rotary level, headed, and the zone is headed by the Rotary International Director. Okay. Recently, you must have noted that one of our own still, I think Uganda is doing very good at this. One of our own past district governor, Emmanuel Katongole, was elected at the recently concluded Zone Institute as a Rotary International Director nominee. So Rotaract Africa brings these districts. At district level we have the DRL, District Rotaract Representatives, as the heads. So the Rotaract Africa brings all these districts, and in Rotaract Africa we currently have over 20,000 young people. So 20,000 young people from different districts. And now these young people, these leaders are coming to Kampala for the Rotaract Africa Summit. So our role at Rotaract Africa, one, like you've had, multi-district information organizations, we are the direct Rotary International contact in Africa. Then we disseminate the information then down to our different districts, work with the different districts to foster Rotary International's agendas in the 7 areas of focus, but most importantly, the first goal of Rotaract, which is to develop professional and leadership skills, developing young people, growing leaders. Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you end on a very, the very positive note of developing young leaders, especially the professional ones. Rotary has established a reputation, of course, as one that affords many professionals to inch forward in developing, but ensuring that that happens within the confines of community service, leadership development, and networking. Could you expound on these 3 aspects of the Rotaract family? Okay,
I could give you the history of Rotaract specifically, then those
briefly the history, but what I want with community service, leadership, development, as well as networking, I want the interplay. how this develops the greater objective and vision?
First of all, why we focus, number one, on the professional leadership development. A cup cannot you cannot fill another cup from an empty cup.
That is right.
It has to overflow into another cup. So we develop young people, grow them into good leaders, astute leaders.
That's right.
All round. Young people that value others, that appreciate community, that respect others, the rights of others, and emphasize the dignity of all useful occupations. Then when you bring such a grounded person, community service is easier. They think about the community, because you cannot be the only person excelling. Yeah. If you live in your comfort zone and someone else there is not comfortable, you can never be comfortable, because trust me, they'll come for you in one way or the other. If you don't choose to develop them, that's why you find a young man snatching your phone on the street. So we get to them so that we move together, we develop together. Okay. So that's why it's very important for community service. Yeah.
And this particular conference, of course, will be expanding the potential for networking. So let's go into the summit proper. It is, of course, a dynamic and powerful event, no doubt, bringing together over 40 countries, delegates from over 40 countries across Africa.
40 countries across Africa.
So tell us what's going to be happening, what are we going to be listening to, what are we going to be enjoying, so to speak, during the summit?
First of all, it's a very big opportunity that Uganda is hosting this summit for the first time. We've been to a number of countries hosting the summit, but last year around November, Uganda was honored. We won a bid, and led by District 9213, we won a bid to host the summit. So the summit is coming up in a few weeks. Okay. And we have also been honored by one of our own, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who will be the chief guest. And certainly because he's a man that has the youth at heart. So we'll be having...
he's also very youthful.
Very youthful, of course, very youthful. Yeah. We'll be having great speakers speaking to us. But as you understand, our theme is unleashing Africa's potential with Rotaract leading the way. We are having young people all over Africa come to Kampala for the summit, and seeing how best can we realize Africa's potential in terms of technology, in terms of medicine, in so many developmental aspects. How can we work together? We want to go to a level of not looking at the Ugandan youth just as a Ugandan, but as an African. Am I able to comfortably work in Nairobi? And Rotaract is facilitating this. Am I comfortable? Can I walk to Ghana and I am able to work there, to grow there? Those are some of the things we are looking at in this particular summit, but also growing and exploring the different cultures all over Africa. So we want Rotaract to lead the way, to lead that push, because we are talking about over 20,000 young people in Africa. In Uganda alone, we are talking about, of the 20,000, in Uganda alone, we are talking about 5,000 young people.
About 5,000.
And this is a force that is here of young professionals, of students in tertiary institutions. And we want to tell the world that this is a force you can reckon with. These are people you can work with. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Now, let me just fall back to an earlier assertion that I believe, I didn't even just allude to it, about the Rotary and the fact that it has a reputation, for example, of this overly corporate and sometimes of sophisticated people. When the push for transforming Africa's young population, the professionals and their ability to use the available tools and tactics to transform their lives and those of the people in their communities and ultimately the countries where they live. Doesn't it, for example, cause a bit of a hindrance sometimes for you to make inroads to communities that are seen as less sophisticated or far-flung from the urban centers where we, I might be mistaken or not, see the Rotary operating?
I think that has been an assumption over time.
Okay.
But Rotary or Rotarians and Rotaractors come from these communities.
Yeah, no doubt. Somebody comes from, for example, Butaleja.
Yeah.
They come to study at Makerere University, then they get into the corporate world, they excel. But after that, it is not that their interventions are frequent within the communities where they came from. They tend to ensure that what they do, how they live, how they interact is again in the urban centers. But when it comes to the community service prong of the three that we talked about earlier, I begin to look at the need for such interventions to focus on the rural communities, because that is where you find people who want to make it and be part of the global, movement of change, but the systems and the lifestyles constrains them. And when young persons from across Africa do gather for this particular conference, what we want to see at the end in terms of resolutions is not to reinforce the reputation of corporate gang, but to actually see how these communities at the bottom of the pyramid will be impacted positively.
I'll tell you something. As young people, the Rotaractors, actually one of the components of the summit, we'll be having a community service project.
Community service project.
We get back to our communities, the different communities. For example, when I get back to my community, the school I went to, which is certainly not even known, or not even known. Yeah. Someone one time asked me, which school did you go to? Which is not even known.
They must have thought you went to Budo.
Yes, but when they look at me in that school, and certainly, I know my head teacher there, or the director, if he watched me on TV, he would record this and take it to the student, tell them,
wow, that would be very
it is true someone can come from this school and become someone.
That is very inspirational.
So we get back to these communities to inspire the young people. And I'll tell you, these Rotarians you're seeing in Kampala, in these, what you classify
the guys
as
in
corporate
suits
and all that. Recently I was in Kabale. There is a gentleman very respected here. I found him in his community. We were doing a service project there, and he was telling us that this is where I come from. You guys see me in Kampala, but on a weekend, and
that's right.
I noticed that he's always in his village on the weekend, associating with these people, with his communities. So the projects that we do not actually wake up and say, let's do a project in Butaleja. It goes far away. We establish the need. We go to the communities, because you cannot, I'll tell you a scenario. There is a Rotary club that built a well. Actually, it was a borehole.
Okay.
For them, they thought they were bringing the service closer.
By building that?
By building.
Water point, yeah.
Yes. But one of the community women asked them, why are you doing this to us? Us walking that mile is the only time we have away from our husbands.
What?
So you are bringing this borehole here. So we do not just wake up and say we're drilling a borehole. We go to the communities, assess, do they need it? Do they need the school? What is the contribution of the community towards the building of this school? Are they bringing the bricks? We don't just come and say, okay, well, we are going to give you a classroom block. Yeah. That becomes your block, not theirs, and they will not own it. And they'll see in that category. So you need to be part of them. You need to engage them. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's a very good one. Now, there is what, of course, government describes as one of the tools available to foster the growth of the economy, and that is what we call MICE, meetings, incentives, conferences, as well as exhibitions. Yeah. This particular summit should be one that caters for pretty much the entire 4 clusters of this MICE initiative. What will there be exhibitions? What opportunities are there for the young who are in business to, for example, showcase what they are selling, products and services? We
have what we've called the Rotaract Business Expo for young people at the summit. Okay. And this is not only open to Rotaractors, it's open to every young person out there to come and exhibit. To come and exhibit, showcase what they're doing, how are they sustaining development of our country. And not just for Ugandans, for everyone, every young people across Africa. That's right. But again, you don't fail to come and exhibit, even the elder people like you.
I hear elder people like me. You've just completely put me in a certain cluster. But again, I love it that way, because it's better to be older, because at that point in time,
older and wiser.
Older and wiser, no doubt. All the blessings are taken. Very lastly, and of course I know membership is something that is an ongoing growth prospect. 2,513 members from 115 clubs. Is that across the country?
That is part of the country, which is District 9213.
District 9213.
Yes.
Tell me about your growth prospects.
You see,
in terms of numbers.
In terms of numbers, we have actually gone away from recruiting.
You guys are, what are you up to now?
You see, we have gone now to attracting.
You want authentic membership.
Recruiting.
You don't want to coerce anybody.
We don't want, we want you to come for a good reason. But we have also noticed that you see, with attraction, you will attract everything.
All right.
But after attracting them, we're saying come. We attract and then mentor these young people.
Okay.
Mold them into what an ideal member
should be.
Should be. Some of them, we meet. If you met me, if you met me 7 years ago, you wouldn't want to invite me to your studios.
No, these studios are for everybody.
Certainly, if you met me
out there, and we must be very categorical.
So
anybody can come in here.
Rotary is a membership organization without doubt. Yeah. But we try to have the quality membership so that we can foster the objectives of Rotary. Yeah. So we need the membership. That's why we are growing. And this part of the continent, we are doing extremely very well in terms of membership. All
right, Mr. Ntambi, we are, of course, nearing the end of this conversation. I'll give you an opportunity to, again, remind us when this particular summit is on, where, and maybe who we should look out for, especially those that are coming from across Africa. Any prominent persons that many youth in Uganda might resonate with that they should not miss to listen to?
Well, in the coming days, we'll be coming to you with a list. We'll be actually, they need to, the people need to check on our different platform, social media platform. We are going to be unveiling all these speakers, the different speakers. So it's very important they tap on those links and check them out. The summit is happening from the 14th to 17th of November. It's just a couple of weeks away. And by the way, those of you with businesses, these young people have heard about the Pearl of Africa. You could be having tour packages there. Come and speak to us. We have people coming 2 weeks earlier.
Okay.
And the next couple of days they will be coming in. We don't have anything to do with them.
Some money to spend.
Yeah, we don't have anything to do with them during those days. Please come and speak to us, see how you can tap into those opportunities. Young people, come and learn best practices of life. Best practices of life. You forgot the venue. The venue is Las Vegas Bunga. We will be there from 14th to 17th. Okay. Yeah. Las Vegas. And if you might allow me, I'd like to thank the Parliament of Uganda for having accepted to work with us. They have been very instrumental, especially the Deputy Speaker, who accepted to be our chief guest, but also supporting the transportation of the delegates. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Allan Ntambi, President of the Rotaract Africa Multi-District Information Organization, for making time and offering us some very good insight into the upcoming Rotaract Africa Summit that is due on the 14th to the 17th of November 2024. That will do it for our Tech Note. But remember the 3 prongs for young professionals who are seeking to join the community of Rotaractors and Rotarians: community service, leadership development, as well as networking. And that very last one that the gentleman spoke about: come and learn how to strategize in life. That is very important. On Morning at NTV, it's been a pleasure having your company this 15th day of October 2022-24. There is a way a 2 is beginning to get into my mind. There is something that is happening at 2 p.m. later today, and there my mind had already raced ahead. I love to be ahead of issues. On behalf of my colleague Priscilla Regina Naloga, and indeed the team behind the scenes that ensures these 2.5 hours are exhaustively full of information as well as perspective, no doubt it's been a pleasure. Have yourselves a good day. We shall see you guys tomorrow.